What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Moles on the mic.
Dude, all right, guys. There's Jake's unique intro that he always gives us, but love him. Guys, we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be recapping Week 15 of the 2022 NFL season. It was a very interesting week, to say the least. Jake and I picked the exact same amount of games correctly this week, which was interesting because I think we differed on 4 or 5 separate games. So we both
we differed on 1, 2, 3 games.
3? I thought there was more. So we differed on the Chargers, Titans. We differed on the Jets, Detroit game. Dallas, Jags.
Okay, 4 games. Yeah, 4.
Okay, 4. Okay, that's what I thought. But yeah, guys, so we had a pretty good week for the most part. You know, we missed a couple. We're still aiming to get that perfect week where we go 100%. Don't know if it'll ever happen, but we're going to try. Anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. We'd appreciate getting any amount of likes, comments, anything that you guys want to talk to us about. Feel free to hit us up on our Instagram at Cannonballs with the Z_podcast. Jake also releases reels that kind of show our power rankings with animations or graphics. That way you guys can kind of see something visually other than us just talking. But if you like just looking at us, here you go, because this is what the podcast is all about as of right now. Jake, do you have anything to
add? No, it was just it was a pretty wild week, I would say. There was like a lot of overtime games, a lot of upsets. I mean, It was just a good week of football.
Agreed.
You know, we got blessed with freaking great games on Saturday, and then this is a football podcast, but you know, I do enjoy sports of all types. And the World Cup final was on this morning, Sunday, and it was a great game. And then after that, got some great football on Sunday. But let's start with the Thursday night game.
Let's do it.
We both picked the 49ers to win, and they did in pretty convincing fashion, I would say.
Yeah, the game wasn't as close as the score indicated by any means. I mean, 8 points is still a good margin, but this game never felt close, in my opinion. It just kind of felt like San Francisco controlled this game in its entirety.
Yeah, I'm a 49ers fan, obviously, and I never was. I mean, it was a 7-point game at the beginning. And after that, they kind of just took it away, and I was like, okay, they're just dominating the Seahawks, and we've been kind of down on the Seahawks lately just because they've been declining, and it shows. The 49ers are good, man. They are a good team. Yep. Christian McCaffrey, Debo is out, so he carried the team on his back. George Kittle
had a hell of a game.
Yeah, had his best game of the year so far. He 4 receptions for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Brock Purdy, man, he's doing everything he needs to do for this offense to keep it going. He's getting the first down. He did have a bad throw, but luckily for him, he didn't get an interception. But he's doing everything is asked for him, and it's just perfect for this team. You know, they can win. Obviously, they've won pretty much 3 games with him at the helm. So, they're just proving that they can win with anybody at quarterback. So, the 49ers clinched their playoff berth, NFC West champions. So it feels pretty good. And the Seahawks are fighting for their playoff lives. I would have liked to see Brandon Ayuk get more involved in this game, honestly. But you know what? I can kind of I can understand why he wasn't getting involved. They were just kind of trying to minimize the field, I think, like kind of just going through the middle or running, and probably not trying to take risks, especially in a tough place to play like Seattle. But fun note, haven't swept the Seahawks in since 2011. So I think it was 2011. So this was Shanahan's first time doing it. So feels fucking great, baby.
Oh, I bet. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers, their defense just continues to play at an elite level, just making big time plays when they need to. Offense looks good with Brock Purdy. You and I have talked off the podcast, just basically talking our opinions of Brock Purdy. You know, I think he is a good quarterback, especially for being Mr. Irrelevant. He's playing above what I expected his game to be like. I do want to just give props to Shanahan, though. I mean, Kyle Shanahan literally has a great offensive scheme where he can, you know, just devise plays to have players wide open. And, you know, it helps, especially for a quarterback who this is his rookie year. He wasn't even starting until, you know, the second half of the season, basically, a little bit after the second half of the season. And he's doing everything that he needs to. He makes big time plays. He, you know, when it's a little tighter coverage, that's when you kind of see the rockiness and kind of the inexperience, I would say. But he looks good, man. And this offense is going to continue to thrive because the defense is going to give them the ball and they're going to have more opportunities than a lot of teams would. So I think the 49ers look great. On the other side of the ball, I think the Seahawks, you know, Geno Smith still played at a pretty good level. Didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, I think he looked good. The run game wasn't there. San Francisco shut that down. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett were locked down for a good portion of this game. I would say they had like a couple good catches here and there. Noah Fant was utilized for the touchdown, but the Seahawks defense was okay, but they gave up a lot of big plays, like a lot of big yard plays. So Seahawks just continue to decline, especially in my power rankings. You know, they're on a losing streak. Had a really hot start. Well, not hot start, but, you know, for a good month and a half, they look like the hottest team in the NFL, but they are simmering down. But yeah, good win for the 49ers. You ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, Brock Purdy was dealing with a rib injury. He almost didn't play in this game, so kudos for him to kudos to him for you know, toughing it out and playing through the game. So
yeah,
but yeah,
BCB,
we can
baby.
get to the big cock Brock, baby. All right, let's get to the Saturday games. So this first game
was wild.
It's historic. This is the biggest comeback in NFL history, and we all got to witness it. So, you know, pat yourself on the back if you did nothing but watch football on Saturday, like I did. So, yeah, the Minnesota Vikings beat the Indianapolis Colts 39-36. And, I mean, let's just talk about the game. I mean, the Colts went up 33-0 in the first half.
Yeah.
33-0 in the first half. That wasn't a you know, an error. That is what the half score was. If you didn't watch this, go back and watch this because this is a pretty insane game.
This had to have been probably the most insane game I've watched this year, just because of the storyline and the comeback. Like it was massive. It was massive. Yeah,
it's just, I mean, like it was a great comeback. Don't get me wrong. Like it was epic and all that. My problem is just like, this just shows that both of these teams are pathetic. Like I've been low on the Colts for a while now, and this just for me, it proves that the Vikings are frauds. I think they're going to be, like I say, I think they're going to go one and done. They won the division. They're going to make playoffs, and they're probably going to get smacked by, I don't know, a better team. But you know what? It was still a freaking awesome comeback. Dalvin Cook freaking balled out. Kirk Cousins looked terrible the first half, but him and Justin Jefferson got it going. How many yards did Justin Jefferson have? He wasn't even the leading receiver.
Jay Jets had 123 and 1. KJ Osborne had 157 and 1.
Jeez, man. Yeah, KJ Osborne, this is his best game of the season. Dalvin Cook got it going to the ground and the freaking air.
190 yards total, 95 for each. That's insane.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins hit 4 different receivers for a touchdown. So absolutely insane.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins passed for 460 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have the 2 interceptions. But yeah, I mean, it was a tale of 2 halves. Like, first half was just complete disrespect that the Colts were giving the Vikings. It was just embarrassing to watch. It was, I guarantee there were fans that left this game and then saw the score and were just like, I hate my life. That would have been the greatest comeback to ever watch. But
do you think they let fans back in, or like once you leave, you're done, right?
I'm not sure about that. They might base it by stadium. There might be some stadiums that would allow it. Maybe if you get like a little stamp or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, good question. I have no idea. But either way, I don't necessarily think that this means that the Minnesota Vikings are frauds. It is alarming that they allowed 33 points to happen. But to be able to go down 33 points and then make a comeback happen, I don't think there's many teams that could do that. It's bad because it was the Colts, but as we saw earlier today, like the Chiefs went to overtime with Houston. Like Houston was smacking them in the mouth. The Jags smacked Dallas in the mouth. Like there are just some teams where like the matchup favors them, and the Colts came to play. And I don't know what happened with the Vikings in the first half. They just weren't ready to play, but they showed up and they scored 39 points in the second half alone. That's impressive. So I do kind of agree with the sentiment that they are possibly or probably going to be a one and done team if they play a team that's hot coming into playoffs. But since they won the division, they will have a home field advantage game for the first game of wild card. Depends on who they play, but I think they could get past wild card. Depends on who they play in the divisional round. But because they have a good offense, I think that they could make it interesting. And the games that they've won, I do understand, is only been by like a 1-score possession. They have a negative point differential, which is bad because they got blown out the 2 games they lost. And this almost was a third. But I don't think that makes them frauds, because it's hard to go 11-3. Like, I don't know, man. Like the year that Pittsburgh was doing really well and then just kind of shit the bed, I feel like they looked different. Like the Vikings can pass the eye test in certain regards. Like there are things that I do think are alarming, but I do think they pass the eye test for most of it. So I'm not on board with saying they're frauds. I completely understand where you're coming from with that, but I do disagree that they're frauds. I think that they could be competitive.
Yeah, I think they're frauds. I mean, their defense is statistically bottom 5. Their offense, Justin Jefferson is the focal point of that team. I mean, Dalvin Cook, if he doesn't get going, they can shut him down. Kirk Cousins, he's won one primetime game. I don't really consider this Saturday a primetime game. It was early in the morning. I don't know. They worry me. I'm not going to crown them. I'm not going to crown them as a good team until they can prove me otherwise, because
they did win you a jersey though.
Yes, they did. And Zach and Casey, if you're listening to this, start shopping, baby. Cause I want me and Dane want our jerseys. But yeah, I mean, like maybe, the Vikings have been cursed for so long. Maybe they're just due for some luck, but either way, it was a great win. It was an awesome comeback. Either way, if you think they're a bad team, if you think they're a good team, blah blah blah, it was still a great game to watch. So yeah, I mean, we started Saturday off with this insane historical comeback, and then the next game
was not very entertaining in my opinion. Let me take the reins on this one first. The Baltimore Ravens traveled to Cleveland to play the Browns. We both predicted the Browns to win this game, so kudos to us. We did predict this game correctly. This was just a boring game. It was all defense. If you like defensive games, this was probably your game. But I think it would have been more entertaining seeing like a starting caliber quarterback for the Ravens. Like Tyler Huntley just did not look that good by any means. J.K. Dobbins got things going on the ground. He had 125 yards, but no touchdowns. The Ravens only scored 3 points this entire game. The Browns defense stepped up. You know, they made big time plays. Deshaun Watson didn't look particularly great. He did enough to win.
He's been looking better.
He has been looking better. Absolutely. I agree.
He definitely has made steps trending better to where he looks like the old Deshaun Watson, but I mean, he still doesn't look that great. But,
yeah, I think next year will probably be like a better telling of how he's going to be in this offense. But yeah, you know, Nick Chubb, 99 yards, Kareem Hunt, 24, which was pathetic. The receivers didn't really do anything. I mean, Amari Cooper only had 58. Donovan Peoples-Jones, you know, had that big time touchdown. But yeah, I think this game was mostly just special teams for the Browns and defense that won them this game.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. And this is why I haven't. This is why I worry for the Ravens, because without Lamar, even with Lamar, they looked stale. They looked one-dimensional. You know, they do the option run with Lamar, and then he pulls it and throws it to Mark Andrews. Like, that's really all they do. And you know, without Lamar, they just look even worse. I mean, no offense to Tyler Huntley, but it's hard to replicate Lamar. So yeah, I mean, the Browns got to win. They're still, I think they're still technically in the race. I think.
Yeah, technically they are, because they're 6-8 now.
Yeah, 6-8. So
they're 6-8 with the Jags, the Raiders. They're right behind the Jets and the New England Patriots at 7-7.
Mm-hmm. So I guess good for the Browns. Where did the run game go, man? I mean, the beginning of the season, Nick Chubb was borderline unstoppable. But the last 5 weeks, Nick Chubb really hasn't put up godlike numbers like he used to. I mean, he had what, 90 yards rushing?
99, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty decent, but I don't know, maybe I'm just used to Nick Chubb going for at least minimum
2.
Yeah, at least. I mean, he hasn't scored in 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like. Yeah, I really need the Browns to get that run game going, because that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, I think that is a testament, though, to the Baltimore Ravens defense. I know that the last several weeks, like you mentioned, it's been kind of rough for the Cleveland offense, but Baltimore does have a good defense. I don't want to take anything away from them, because they did have a good game plan for Cleveland. They couldn't do anything offensively, and that's what ultimately shot them in the foot, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I agree with you. It was kind of a boring game. It kind of had a little bit of an exciting ending. I can't recall, because I was just still thinking about that first game. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. But this next game, it was it was a sandwich. It was 2 good games with a mediocre game in the middle. Yep. But this next game was really freaking good.
This game was really fun.
We both picked the Bills to win, and the Bills did win, 32-29. Jeez Louise, man. This was just an offensive – this is complete opposite of the Browns-Ravens game. You know, you had the defensive game, and you just had this offensive explosion. If you had fantasy players on this in this game, I'm sure you were happy. I mean, freaking Raheem Mostert ran for over 100 yards.
He was –
in the first freaking quarter.
He was looking great. He was breaking tackles. He was outrunning people. He just looked different out there.
He looked vintage, dog. He looked NFC Championship vintage. Miss it. I miss Raheem Mostert. He was one of my favorite players. But, you know, I'm glad he's doing good. I'm glad the Dolphins, you know, or I'm glad it's a joke. It's like the 49ers of the AFC. It's the Miami 49ers, because pretty much they just took all their players from San Francisco. But, you know, it was a great game. It was just back and forth, man.
Yeah. I think the Dolphins looked a lot better than I thought. You know, the weather didn't really seem to slow them down at all. I was kind of thinking that since they're such a warm weather team, that maybe it was going to be a little bit more challenging, especially in the climate. But I think Tua looked a lot better than he had the previous 2 weeks. Like, it seemed like he kind of got things going a little bit. You know, he had 234 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he looked good. You know, he had a couple throws here and there that were kind of a little miscue, little wobbly, little inaccurate. But I think for the most part, he was pretty dialed in. He had good reads. He was making the right decisions. I think that he looked light years better than he had against the Chargers and the 49ers. But Jalen Waddle had a huge game, 114 and 1. Tyreek Hill got things going, 69 and 1. But yeah, I think the biggest was Raheem Mostert. Like you said, he just balled out. And then on the other side of the ball, Josh Allen, he had one of his better games in a while, 304 and 4 touchdowns. That last touchdown that he threw to James Cook to end the half was just a dart. And, you know, he scrambled. There were 9 seconds left, and he just threw it right in the back of the end zone, right on the money.
Bro. With time expiring. Too.
Yeah, with time expiring. It was great. And I was glad to see Dawson Knox, who had a couple drops earlier in the game, kind of, you know, expand and have a bigger game near the end, you know, 98 yards, a touchdown. And then it was weird. Naheem Hines and Quinn Morris were the other two that had a receiving touchdown. It's like, what?
Yeah.
These guys come from.
Yeah, and I forget how the game ended. Like the Bills, they tied it. The Dolphins tied it, and then the Bills had a chance to get a field goal with time expiring, correct?
I think the Bills were the ones to tie it. I think they were down, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Miami was up 29 to like 26.
I thought they won with a field goal.
I honestly cannot remember how the game ended, but I know that Miami was in the lead in the second half, and then Buffalo was playing catch up.
Either way, this was a great game. It was just, I mean, everything you could have asked for. You know, the Dolphins and the Bills are going to be a fun matchup to watch for the next couple of years, because if they can keep this core and keep, you know, trending in the right direction, this is going to be a really, really fun matchup to watch. Because, I mean, they're both pretty similar. You know, just high-powered offenses, you know, decent defenses. Yeah, man, it was a great game. Good job for the Bills. They, you know, hold on to that number 1 seed, and the Dolphins, unfortunately,
are now out of playoff. Or
I think they're close to out of playoffs.
Yeah, they're the 7th seed now, I believe.
Okay, so I mean,
because they have the same record as the Chargers. They're both 8-6, but since the Chargers beat the Dolphins, I think they took the 6th seed, and now the Dolphins are now the 7th seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Dolphins need to piece together some wins, or it's not going to be looking good for them. But yeah, great games. Let's get to the Sunday games, Dane.
Let's do it. The first game. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. First game I have is Philadelphia Eagles at Chicago Bears.
That's what I have as well.
All right, this was yeah, you take this one.
I'll just say this game was more entertaining than I thought it would be in certain regards. Desmond Ridder didn't look all that great. You know, I was kind of expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I just kind of thought.
What game are you talking about?
You said the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, right?
I think I said Eagles, Chicago Bears.
Did you?
That's what game I'm on. That's the first game I have. You know what? Let's talk about whatever game you want. Whatever game you're on.
Guys, it is a little bit later, so bear with us.
Yeah, sorry. Been a long weekend.
Yeah, let's go to the Falcons Saints. That's what I have up first for some reason. So yeah, Desmond Ridder did not look particularly well or good in my opinion. You know, he had a couple runs here and there, had a couple good throws, but I kind of expected him to bring a little bit more juice to this Falcons offense. And it wasn't him. It was Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier looked really good. He had 139 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Cordell Patterson got utilized. Drake London made a couple big plays, and the Falcons defense came to play in the second half, but it wasn't enough. Saints kind of controlled this game. The Saints defense also got after the Falcons offense. Andy Dalton looked pretty decent, 151-2. Alvin Kamara finally had a decent game. Didn't really have a touchdown, but he had 91 yards rushing. And Rashid Shaheed, I love that rookie, man. He's fast, he's big, he's a good receiver. And Juwan Johnson, he came to play as well. So overall, I think the Saints had a good win. They're all 5-9 except the Bucs now. Everyone's within one game of that division title or the division lead. So we'll see what goes on from here. But yeah, pretty entertaining game. Good win for the Saints.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see a little bit more. I mean, I get like they're fighting for their playoff hopes, whatever. But like, I would have liked to see them air it out a little bit more with Desmond Ridder. I mean, see what the rookies got, man. Like, or I don't know. Maybe they just don't trust him, or maybe they don't think they can protect him good enough. So we'll see. We'll see if they think he's the answer. I mean, I think they're kind of stuck with him. So I mean, and oh shit, next
What's
year
up?
they're not gonna have Calvin Ridley because he got traded, didn't he?
Yep.
Jags might be freaking good next year. But yeah, no, good win for the Saints. This division is disgustingly close, and it's disgusting that one of these teams is going to get a home playoff game. But yeah, let's go on to a better game. I got the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Chicago Bears 25-20. Oh, and we both picked the Saints to win.
And Jake and I both picked the Eagles to win this game.
Yes, sir. This game was surprisingly close.
Yeah.
Golly, dude. Jalen Hurts, the first half, he was looking bad, man. He was like, I think he had 100 yards throwing, 2 interceptions. Miles Sanders was fumbling all over the place. The Bears defense came to play. And, I mean, before I get to the Eagles side of the ball, Justin Fields he's good, man.
He's that guy. He's like a Lamar Jackson type quarterback,
Yeah.
I think he's better throwing than Lamar personally. I just don't think that he has the weapons or the offensive scheme to utilize his skill set in the passing. But, since they figured out what he can do with his legs, this offense has taken the next step forward at least. So they know what they can build off of it with. So
it blows my mind because it's like, you scouted this dude. Did you just like not see what he did in college? Right. I mean, right? Like,
yeah,
it's obvious he's good at running, maybe play action or designed runs or easy throws. I don't know. It blows my mind. That's why the Bears organization has just been trash for years. But Justin Fields, hopefully you get some weapons because I believe in you again. You are a sick player. But the Eagles, man, they played down to their level for sure. Had some mistakes. The defense was not wrapping up, blah, blah, blah. Mistakes on both sides of the ball. And but the Eagles prevailed. They're just
Soldier Field isn't an easy place to play either. Like, Chicago fans are nuts.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Eagles, they prevailed, man. That's all I really can say. It wasn't a particularly good win. They should have beat the Bears, I think. But, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are rolling, man. I mean, they're 13-1.
13-1.
They've been rolling.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting game for the Eagles offensively speaking because Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns on the ground, but 0 touchdowns through the air. He still threw for 315 yards. 181 of those were to A.J. Brown. 181 yards. That's nuts. And Devontae Smith was pretty close to him at 126.
Yeah, they have
Kenneth Gainwell with 9.
Once they get what's his name? What's the Dallas Goedert? Once they get Dallas Goedert back, that's the third option in this Philadelphia Eagles receiving core. Plus, they have 3 capable running backs. and they have Jalen Hurts. And on top of that, they have a defense, man. Like,
Yeah.
this team is very scary. Very scary. There's a reason they're 13-1. And they're beating teams. Like, they're blowing teams out. But except for this game was a little, stumble, but they won. Good win for the Eagles, and I got nothing else to say about this game.
All right.
Next one. This was a fantastic game. Got the Detroit Lions beating the New York Jets 20-17. We both picked the Detroit Lions, and even though the Jets lost, pleasantly surprised with Zach Wilson. I think this is more the Lions defense isn't really up to par. I mean,
I disagree with that. I don't think
Okay,
that
well,
I don't think that it's not up to par, because I mean they did hold them to 17 total points. I think Zach Wilson has the ability to make big time plays, but he's still, like you see with the one interception, he misreads the cornerback. Like, he'll still make dumb throws, but he also has a ceiling where he can make throws that not a lot of quarterbacks can make. Like, he has a cannon of an arm. He's not consistent. That's what I think. And because he has such a good defense, it keeps him in games.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions defense is particularly good. I think they've improved, but I don't think they're anything special yet. They definitely have players, like they have Aiden Hutchinson, Okuda, a couple of players on the D line, but I think that's why Zach Wilson was able to actually have a decent game, because the defense isn't all there. But Zach Wilson looked okay. They didn't really get the running game going, but
No.
Zach Wilson was kind of forced to step up, which is good for him. But on the Detroit side of the ball, man, Jared Goff looked good. His second half he looked good. It was just that Jets defense. The Jets defense is legit.
Yeah, the Jets defense is really good, for sure.
Yeah. And then, I mean, really, I just got to say Jared Goff, good for you. That game-winning drive to, take the lead or whatever. That was a fantastic drive. So good for you, Jared Goff. What do you guys say about this?
I'm only going to add a couple things. These teams are pretty evenly matched, I think, for the most part, because I like Detroit's offense more than I like the Jets' offense, but I like the Jets' defense more than I like the Detroit defense. But, like you said, Goff has been playing well. The entire Detroit team has been playing well. Like, they're not really missing a beat. It was a much more competitive game this week than last week against who did Detroit play last week? Oh, my God, it's blanking my mind. Anyway.
Vikings.
Campbell, dude, they just want to play for him. He just wants to win. And they started off 1-6. They are 7-7 now. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, which is insane. That's absolutely monstrous. They're rolling. They are hot. They're piping hot right now. And I just hope that they keep the momentum going, because if they win out, they could make playoffs. They probably should make playoffs if they win out, because they'll be 10-7. So
yeah.
I like what I'm seeing. They went from 1-6 to a 500 team. Jets are still declining. I love the Jets defense. I think that it's great. I love watching Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. They got playmakers. Like you said, Zach Wilson looks better. We'll see because I think Mike White has a broken rib, correct? Fractured rib?
I just don't think something in his ribs. I think he'll be back next week. I just think the doctors wanted him to rest this week. They couldn't clear him or something like that. I think he'll be back.
But yeah, I think the Jets, if they could win like New York won tonight, the other New York team, the Giants, then I'll kind of be a little bit higher on them. But I'm kind of down on them right now because they've lost so many games as of recent memory. So it's a little alarming, but I think the Jets are still a decent team. like you've alluded to before, Jake, missing Breece Hall really does affect this team. But, Michael Carter kind of saved Zach Wilson on one of those plays earlier that probably should have been intercepted.
That duck he freaking threw. Yeah, see, that's the shit like that. Zach Wilson is just like, there's a reason you got benched. Yeah, no, this team needs that running back to get that run game going. They thought they had it in Zonovan Knight, but he didn't do jack diddly this game. Man, I mean, if this Jets team can win at least 2 more games, they need to win 2 out of their 3 games. Preferably win out, but it's a tall task, man. But good win for the Lions. Rooting for you. I'm also kind of rooting for the Jets too, though. But I'm just Detroit a little bit more.
Yeah, I like the underdog story for both these teams, but Detroit is hot, so rooting for them.
All right, next game. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Carolina Panthers 24-16. Unfortunately, we both picked the Panthers.
We did, and we said that we'd pick them, especially if Trubisky was the quarterback for Pittsburgh. And Trubisky didn't look terrible, He didn't really do too terribly much. I mean, he made plays, but, Deontay Johnson looked good. George Pickens, he won't do too terribly much statistically speaking, but the plays that he does make, they're just remarkable catches. Like George Pickens has some of the best hands I've seen for a rookie wide receiver in the NFL. And, Najee Harris looked good. Jaylen Warren got going a little bit. And Pittsburgh's defense showed up. But, I still think Sam Darnold didn't look bad. He had a pretty decent day, 225-1. They just couldn't get anything going on the ground. They couldn't rush the ball, but they kind of did a couple little screens or quick slants that got going for the running backs. Chuba Hubbard had a big one. And DJ Moore looked pretty decent. But overall, I think it was a competitive, fun matchup. It wasn't anything spectacular by any means, but, it was a good win for Pittsburgh. They're still technically in the playoff hunt as well. They're another 6-8 team. There's a bunch of 6-8 teams in the AFC as of right now. So if Pittsburgh can win out, they'll finish the season 9-8 and have a chance to make the 7th seed possibly.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway for me from this game was Pittsburgh's defense. Carolina got into the red zone like 2 or 3 times and came away with field goals. That was the main reason they lost. I mean, if they would have gotten a touchdown, they would have won. One touchdown out of those red zone trips, they would have won. Carolina is still technically in the playoff run. They're only a game behind the Bucks. They control their own destiny. Well,
they could be a division winner.
They need Tampa Bay to lose out, or they need to win out, and Tampa Bay needs to lose at least one more. But man, I wish they would have won it. I was really rooting for the the Panthers. But a good win for the Steelers. Hopefully they can get that coveted 500 record. Not much else to say about this game besides that defense is just different with TJ Watt.
Agreed.
All right, next game. Holy crap. So disclaimer, you guys will think this is funny. So the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Dallas Cowboys 40-34, and I went with the Jags. Dane went with the
with the Cowboys. Mm-hmm.
But for my money pool or my pick'ems, whatever you want to call them, I accidentally wrote down the Cowboys. So for my money pool, people think I picked the Cowboys, but for people who listen to the podcast, I picked the Jags. So I guess technically I'm right, but it doesn't show me with my bank account. But the Jaguars beat the Cowboys in overtime, and man, the Jags
hell of a game.
Yeah, dude. The Jags, I'm impressed, man. I am impressed. This was the third best defense in the league. And they put up 40 points.
Yeah, it didn't look like it today. I mean, Jacksonville came to play. And I think a lot of that comes from Jacksonville's defense. Rashawn Jenkins, ex-Charger, by the way, who didn't look great for us, had a good freaking game. Sealed the deal with an interception, or he had 2 interceptions, I think, to himself today. And I think one of them was a pick 6, if I'm not mistaken. And
2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Yeah, the game-ending play was a pick 6.
Yeah,
and it was
it was a tip. It was a tip pass, and he just caught it right in his hands, took it to the house. So Jacksonville's defense came to play. They still allowed 34 points, but they looked good. Offensively speaking, Trevor Lawrence over the last month has looked really, really good. He's definitely improved. He looks kind of like how he did at Clemson. He's making big time throws, big time plays, using his legs, using his brain. He's reading defense as well. He's making the right reads. Trevor Lawrence looks freaking good. This is the quarterback that we expected Trevor Lawrence to be, and I think he's finally showing it. And, Travis Etienne had a hell of a game too, 103 yards rushing. Zay Jones had 109 yards and 3 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
That's good. It wasn't the Evan Ingram show today.
Besides the obvious, like Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, one thing that I really stuck out to me is the use of Jamal Agnew, like the end arounds. I feel like that really helped the Jags in this game. Kind of gave them a new element to their offense. And I don't think Dallas was ready for it.
Doug Peterson's play calling, there was some trickery in there as well. Like some of the play calls was really impressive.
Yeah, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. If they can stay consistent like this, I'll really like them. And technically they're only a game behind the Titans, right? The Titans are 7-7.
Yep. Titans are 7-7, Jags are 6-8, and the Jags and Titans play again the last game of the season.
Guys, I said if the Titans don't win the division, I'll eat a brick of shit.
You did say that.
Please win the division, Tennessee. What do you think happened with the Cowboys? I don't think they did anything particularly
turnovers.
Bad.
I guess for me.
Dak Prescott 2 interceptions.
Not only that, I think that he fumbled the ball as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he put the ball on the ground as well as the 2 interceptions that kind of cost him the game. But not only that, like Dallas's defense, I know that they were kind of on their own side of the field a couple times because of the interception and the fumble recovery, if I'm remembering this game correctly. It's kind of a tough predicament to be in, but the defense, I think, didn't necessarily play up to the second-ranked defense in the NFL's potential today. They kind of had a couple setbacks. Trevor Lawrence just kind of carved them up. The play calling for the Jags looked really good. They were running the ball really well against this Dallas defense, which is supposed to be really, really good against the run. So it was just an impressive win for the Jags, man. They're hot. They've won 3 of their last 4, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're kind of getting ready for playoffs potentially. And, I wouldn't want to play the Jags in playoffs if they're staying this hot. They're a hot team right now. They look good. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I like it. And they're going to get better next year with the addition of Calvin Ridley. So good win for the Jags. Hopefully you don't make me eat a brick of shit. But next game, jeez Louise, man. We got the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wild one.
Beating the Houston Texans 30-24. And we both picked the Chiefs
in overtime. In overtime.
Yeah, in overtime. And first off, the Chiefs the Texans defense came to play. They were hitting mother effers in the mouth, bro. The way they were picking people up and slamming Juju down or just getting in Travis Kelce's face and getting penalties on them. It was a smash mouth game. This is what we saw at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
When we were calling this Texans team a scrappy team. It did not translate to wins. They're obviously still the worst team in the NFL, but they have players on defense. That defense, and Lovie Smith is a defensive coordinator or defensive-minded coach. When he was the when he was the head coach for the Bears back in the day when they went to the Super Bowl, they had a top 5 ranked defense, I'm pretty sure. So, watch out. They could get a couple more players. I think they just need some offensive pieces because they literally have nothing on offense. I mean, Damian Pierce is out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
They're putting in Jeff Driscoll as like a Taysom Hill wildcat kind of thing. And that's when you're desperate for offensive output. I mean, they put up 24 points, but so I don't want to take anything too much away from the Texans because they did play their hearts out. I just want to criticize the Chiefs on one thing. Terrible clock management. They had like 4 minutes left to win the game at the very end on that last drive, and they decided to just play it easy, and kick the field goal where Harrison Butker has been, shaky this whole game. What the are you doing? Like, come on, bro. Like, you have a high-powered offense. Just get a touchdown. Like, I mean, granted, it worked out in the end, but why take that risk? I don't like it. The Chiefs, just look sloppy. They played a scrappy Houston Texans team.
Yeah, and Houston's looked good the last 2 weeks. I mean, they played Dallas tough as hell also. They almost won that game. So, Houston's just kind of playing upset at this point. They're just, playing like they have nothing to lose because they don't have anything to lose at this point. They're just having fun out there, hitting people in the mouth, like you said, smash mouth football. Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good day, 336-2, no interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco looked good. Travis Kelce looked good. They did their thing. So Kansas City came up with the win, but Houston came to play today. So good win for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Carrying the division yet again.
Oh, yeah, and the Chiefs did win the division, so sorry, Dan.
That's all good. It happens. 7 years in a row.
Okay, and this next game, I'm going to be honest, I literally didn't see a single highlight. It wasn't even on Red Zone. Yeah.
I didn't watch it either. I'm going to be
honest.
Eric
So
didn't even watch it, so.
it was just like, it was Trace McSorley and Brett Ripien. Oh, actually, Colt McCoy did play, but I think he got a concussion.
Yeah, he did get injured. I don't think it was a concussion, though. I think it was a leg injury.
All right. I mean, so the only thing I'm going to say is we both picked the Broncos to win, and they did. So good job, Broncos, for finally getting a win.
Yeah,
without Russell Wilson.
Latavius Murray had a day, 130 on the ground and 1. Other than that, I'm just assuming that the Broncos defense came to play. I mean, Colt McCoy threw an interception, and then Trace McSorley threw 2 interceptions. So not much you can do with your third string quarterback in there. Cardinals are already out of playoffs. Players were
Unless
getting
you're
injured.
the 49ers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, players were getting injured. I did see a little bit of that before the Chargers game came on, but good win for the Broncos. It doesn't mean anything. Both these teams are already out of playoff contention, so better luck next year.
Yep. All right, next game. This was a wild game. This is the 1:00 slate. We both picked the Raiders to win, and they did in insane fashion. The Raiders beat the Patriots 30-24, helped us win our bet.
That it did.
Man, what do I want to say about this game, man?
I want to say this. Mac Jones looked like shit.
I don't think he's good, man. I mean, I think he's okay. I don't know. I don't think he's good. I think there's a reason that Shanahan didn't draft him. I mean,
yeah,
Trevor Lawrence. You have Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Like, all 4 of those quarterbacks have potential, like skyrocket potential. Mac Jones, I never saw it. Even college tape. Like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah, I think it could be a product of the offensive scheme for the Patriots right now. I mean, it's kind of hard when Matt Patricia's the play caller. You have Mac Jones barking at him, telling him to throw the ball downfield. Either way, Mac Jones will have some like dud of throws. Like, they just look like there's no velocity behind them, has no chance to make it to the player. And then other throws, he'll throw it on a rope 40 yards and it'll just be right on the money. I don't know. But what I do know is Ramondre Stevenson had a hell of a game, 172-1.
Mhm.
But the Patriots pissed this one away.
Yep.
They literally made the worst decision I have ever seen in a football game. You could have taken it to OT, but you lateral it back.
Chandler
to
Jones.
Chandler Jones, who then palms Mac Jones in the face. It was literally like watching Russell Wilson get put to the ground 2.0. That's what it reminded me of. But yeah, the Raiders kind of got gifted this game, in my opinion. That was just a terrible decision by the Patriots. Not saying that they would have lost in overtime, but they literally were handed a game winner right there at the end.
Yeah and no. I mean, they came back. Derek Carr led a beautiful drive to score a touchdown to tie it, to send it to overtime.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how it would have ended if it went to overtime, because it should have gone to freaking overtime. I'm just saying they got gifted an actual win, because it could have gone either way in overtime, but they literally were throwing the ball for a touchdown. Like, what?
We were gifted our jerseys.
Hey, I'll take it. Merry Christmas, Jake.
Merry Christmas, Dane. No, hey, I want to say welcome back, Darren Waller. He scored. I like Darren Waller. I mean, even though he's a Raider, he seems like a pretty cool dude. And he's just a beast. He's a top 3 tight end when healthy. He just has not been healthy since like week 2. So I would have liked the Raiders to win last week for a more realistic playoff chance. They're still technically fighting, but they need a lot for them to go their way. I mean, and shit happened like that last year for them. So, you never know. You never know what can happen. But it was a good win for the Raiders. Okay. They were also gifted this game because did you see the Keelan Cole touchdown?
Yes.
That was out. That was out of bounds, dude.
I agree.
I don't know how the hell you call that inbounds. That was terrible call. I was shocked that they called that inbounds. The Raiders were gifted this game. I will say that. Very questionable call. But geez, man, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either. You got us each a jersey.
Got me too, baby.
Yeah, Derek Carr, like you said, he looked pretty good. He led the team back, had a great drive to end the game, and then just had to watch his defense just get gifted a pass, basically.
Yep. So, good job, Raiders, I guess. But let's get on to the next game. This game was really good, and I know you're gonna love talking about it. So I picked the Titans to win. Dane picked the Chargers. Dane was right. Chargers won 17-14. Take it away, Dane.
So yeah, this is back-to-back weeks now where the Chargers defense has looked better. They didn't allow they did allow a decent amount of rushing yards, but I'm so used to over 150, worst in the NFL. And it was Derrick Henry, and they kept him to 104, which is still a good amount, but that's on 21 attempts. So his average wasn't anything ridiculous. Other than that, no one had anything above 10 yards rushing. So that's good. Derrick Henry was utilized in the screen game and in the Wildcat. I think that was a piss poor defensive front effort in the red zone. But other than that, the Chargers offensively still struggled through the red zone, I would say, other than on the ground. Austin Eckler and Joshua Kelly came to play. They got it going on the ground. Justin Herbert had 2 interceptions. One of them was just the most insane defensive play I've ever seen. So I'm not putting that too much on Justin Herbert because it's a 50-50 ball. You expect Mike Williams to go up and get it. I'm not really putting that one on him. The other one was also a really good play by the defensive back, but it was a turnover worthy play. So I'm going to put that one on Justin Herbert.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Both the turnovers were when he was targeting Mike Williams, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But other than that, Justin Herbert, when he was on the run, when he was scrambling out, he made beautiful throws. That one to Keenan Allen on the left hash for 30 yards right in the bucket in stride was perfect. The one, what I'm most impressed is Justin Herbert didn't seem to let the interceptions affect his game, even though he didn't throw for a touchdown. He had 47 seconds left, no timeouts on his own 23, and he led them down to the Titans' 30-yard line. That last throw to Mike Williams on a rope was a beautiful throw. He had a good game plan. He didn't let it affect him. I was pumped, man. It was a good overall team win. It felt like this wasn't like just one side doing more than the other. It kind of felt complete, even though it wasn't pretty, if that makes sense. So it's like the defense did their part. The offense also did enough to win this game. But, I'm kind of shocked that, when Derwin James and some of our starting, like, really good caliber defensive players are out, their defense is looking better. I'm not sure what the correlation is. I'm not sure if it's just because they want to play harder, if it's the end of the season. I'm hoping that it doesn't go back to being bad when Derwin James is out there, because that's kind of alarming if that's the case. I don't think it will. But, yeah, I liked what I saw from the defense, especially in the second half. They had 0 sacks in the first half. Then they had 4 sacks in the second half. Kyle Van Noy, Chris Rumpf stepped up. Khalil Mack got in there. Morgan Fox was disruptive. So, yeah, it was just a good win. And, they got helped out by the Raiders beating the Patriots. So they not only went to the 7th seed, they went to the 6th seed. So they're in playoffs right now. If the season was to end today, they're on a 2-game winning streak. Justin Herbert, even though he had the 2 interceptions, I still think he looked really good because, like I said, I don't put one of the interceptions on him. So I do wish the play calling was better, though. I hate the play calling by Joe Lombardi.
What happened between Sebastian Joseph Day and Drew Tranquil?
No idea, but they were barking at each other. I saw that on the sideline. I was wondering. I was like, what is happening? But I think it was also with Kenneth Murray, because Kenneth. Number 9, our other middle linebacker, K9, him and Sebastian Joseph Day were going at it also. So I don't know if they were saying that Sebastian Joseph Day missed an assignment, that he needs to, get more pressure to stop the run, what it was. But I'm sure that they'll release something in a press conference or talk about it lightly.
Keep me updated. But yeah, good for the Chargers. Only thing I'll say is I wish they would have gotten Mike Williams more involved, just for my fantasy team. But I understand the Titans. I still like the Titans. I still think they're a good team. I think the Chargers beat a good team. They're just on a losing streak.
Titans are beat up, though. Like, they are dropping like flies. So,
yeah.
I texted you earlier. Like, even without all their starters, they still play hard. Like, Vrabel coached them well. So, I love what Vrabel does as a head coach.
Yeah, same. They're scaring me. It looks like I might potentially have to eat a brick of shit, but maybe they'll get things going. I mean, Derrick Henry hasn't looked super dominant like he has in years past. I mean, he is getting older, but maybe they can piece together something. But they're on a 4-game losing streak, so that's pretty alarming for them. But because if they can't win the division, yikes.
Agreed.
But let's go into the next game. This game was absolutely putrid. I picked the Tampa Bay Bucks to win. Dane picked the Bengals. Bengals won 34-23. And, my pick was looking really good.
In the first half, for sure.
In the first half. The Bucks went up 17-0. And I think that was in the first half. Or was it the first half? I don't know. They were up 17-0.
Yeah, it was 17-3 at halftime. So Cincinnati got a last-minute field goal right before.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And honestly, this is the first half. That's the best the Bucks have looked all year. Mike Evans was getting open. Chris Godwin was getting open. Tom Brady looked like vintage Tom Brady. The run game looked good. It was exciting. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because I had Mike Evans in fantasy. I was like, hell yeah, boy, he's about to go off. And then the second half happened.
Yeah.
5 turnovers in a row.
Fumbles, interceptions.
Yeah, Tom Brady. It started with 2 Tom Brady interceptions, I believe. And then it was just fumble after fumble after fumble. And the Bengals are a good team. You can't do that to a good team. You can't let that happen to a good team. The Bengals capitalized. And Joe Burrow had a game. I think he had 4 throwing touchdowns. And they just never let up. They saw a chance to, climb back into the game, and they took it. And the Bucs literally didn't do anything after that. I don't even think they scored. Did they score? Oh, they did score. And of course, Russell Gage was the one to score. So, I mean, unfortunately,
but that was like a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, it meant nothing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I mean, it's unfortunate for me. I think for anybody not a Bucs fan, but like this team is probably going to get a playoff spot, and they don't deserve one at all. I mean, none of these teams in this division. I think they need to make a rule change. If a division leader is underneath,
like a
500
wild card team.
Yeah, then because like potentially the Lions could not make the playoffs when they're way more deserving of a playoff spot than the freaking Bucks or the Saints or the Panthers. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just annoying to me. But things aren't fair. But it was just an absolutely putrid performance by the Buccaneers. But you know what? Good for the Bengals. The Bengals came back. They fought. They were down, and they're a good team. They are a good team. So good job, Bengals.
Yeah, Joe Burrow definitely stepped it up in the second half. 4 touchdowns, only 200 yards passing, but 4 touchdowns. That's good. They couldn't really get anything going on the ground, but through the air, pretty consistent. And the defense stepped up. They got all those turnovers when they needed to. So good for the Bengals.
Yep. All right, last game of Sunday, we have the Giants beating the Commanders and 20-12. And unfortunately, me and Dane both picked the Washington Commanders. And honestly, this game was bullshit. Pardon my French, but the last drive was complete horse. Completely blown pass interference. For the Commanders to potentially tie it. And then I got an update from Bleacher Report, and I guess Terry McLaurin got flagged for a formation, wrong formation, like lining up on the line of scrimmage or something like that. So he got flagged, but he asked the ref if he was fine, and the ref told him he was. And then they flagged him. So you know what? I think the refs kind of screwed the Commanders out of this one. I mean, it was a defensive game. It was a defensive battle for sure. The Giants came to play. Don't get me wrong. Especially on defense. And Saquon, dude, that play where he juked that dude out of his shoes, that was sexy.
Yeah, Saquon is having a good year. He's having a really good year. But I think the biggest side for the Giants is Kayvon Thibodeau. He came to play today. Like he looked like the I can't remember if he was like the 5th overall pick or 6th or whatever he was in the first round, but he came to play. He balled out. But I do agree with you. Like the end of the game was BS. My dad even talked to me about it. So shout out Michael Cannon. He was talking to me. He's like, it was a blown PI call, and then the illegal formation was BS. So it kind of screwed me over because this is also back-to-back weeks in my Pick'ems league where I lose out on Sunday night game and could have made it to Monday night points. But either way, it was a good competitive defensive game if you're into that with a little bit of offense here and there. So I don't think that Taylor Heineke looked all that great. I think he made big plays, but Brian Robinson looked really good. Jahan Dotson had a hell of a game, 105-1, and he made plays when he needed to.
Jahan Dotson looked great, dude. He made some fantastic catches, and personally, I think Taylor Heineke looked. I mean, he's the best quarterback for this team.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
I think besides the fumble, the unfortunate fumble to kind of put the game away for the Commanders, I thought Taylor Heineke looked okay. I think he was playing a good defense, and I think I like Taylor Heineke like a lot.
He's got some dog in him for sure.
Yeah.
I like his mindset, his attitude, and he plays hard.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I hope he gets a contract. I hope he stays the starter because, it's kind of like the Jimmy G thing with the 49ers. Like some teams just win better with certain quarterbacks, and I think that's the Commanders with Taylor Heineke. So yeah, unfortunately, this kind of hurts the Commanders' playoff hopes a little bit. I think they're still technically
they're the seventh seed. They're the seventh seed, yeah.
So they're the 7th. They drop a little bit. They're going to have a tough matchup next week against San Francisco. But the Giants, they were on a losing streak, and they did not look good for the last several weeks. But they look good. And
yeah, their defense looked really good.
Dude, I actually want to bring back to Kayvon Thibodeau because he was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He was everywhere. Like, did you see the play where it was like a play action or not play action? It was what is it where my mind is drawing a blank. Like where you fake it to the running back and then the running back option. It was an option play.
RPO, like run pass option.
Yeah, one of those. And Taylor Heineke like took it to the outside, and Kayvon Thibodeau
strip sacked him.
No. He went inside because he got faked out by Taylor Heineke, and then this fool just rushed him down.
Yeah, like still made the tackle.
How fast is this dude? That was impressive. Like I think that was like the best play. And then the strip sack where he got the touchdown.
Stripped the sack and then recovered the fumble and scored the touchdown. Like he was everywhere. He was dominant. Even when he was shedding blocks, he was still utilized correctly. Like he was in the correct positions for the run game too. Like he was good in the pass defense. He was good in the run defense. He was everywhere. He was worthy of that first round pick tonight. And I think this is the first time where I felt confident saying like, he looks like he belongs out there. Like he's had good games, but this is by far his best game in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this was his breakout performance, and it shows why he was, like you said, taken in the first round. And it says he was the number 5 overall pick.
Okay.
So good job, Kayvon Thibodeau. You did excellent.
Yeah, and that's like what I was used to seeing at Oregon. So it's good to see that it translated to the NFL right now. So I'm happy for him. Good that the Giants won. They're the 6th seed, so I think they've won 2 of their last 6 games, which isn't great because they were on like a pretty downward spiral losing streak. But they're right in the thick of things. They're in the playoffs as of right now. If the season were to end today, we'll see where these teams end up because I think they both have a tough matchup next week, if I'm not mistaken. Like you already said, the Commanders play the 49ers, which is going to be very tough.
Yeah, and the Giants play the Vikings, so anything could happen there. But, this was the Thursday through Sunday night games. I hope you guys enjoyed watching them. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us talk about them. If you don't, comment, say something to me because I'll comment back. I'm just kidding. I probably won't. I'll just ignore you. But
I'll say something smart.
It was a good weekend of football, honestly. And, Sunday night, it's going to be Sunday night. Hey, pray for me. I need a 60-point game. No, I need 70 points between Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson just to be safe. Anything is possible, Kevin Garnett.
Passes from Aaron Rodgers all to Christian Watson.
Dude, it could happen. I mean, he is the number 1 weapon. It could happen. So, I mean, I don't see it happening. It's not. What's the word? It's not plausible.
It's improbable, but it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wish me luck. It's my last hope. Any last words, Dan?
Nope, that'll do it, guys. Just like, comment, subscribe, do anything to help us out. We really appreciate it. Go ahead, follow us on our Instagram at Cannonballs_podcast.
All right. Thanks for listening. And as always, peace.